Hi, everybody. This is Patrick from DoggieDashboard, and today I'm going to show you how to use the new Invoice dashboard feature. So let's go to this appointment here of this Spooter appointment and take a look at it. It is a 7-day boarding appointment. It looks like there's no payment status. Some businesses just keep track of payment status and they don't create invoices, and so they might just click through here and say payment required or paid. That's up to them. If you want to create invoices, which is what most people do using the system, you would click here, create invoice. And so let's make an invoice for this. It looks like it's going to be due, it's going to be due on May 8th, and it was 7 nights of boarding, so we're going to do 7 nights of boarding, and we're going to also be given an exit bath here for 1, and so we're good to go. Let's just add some tax on there. We'll add $15 of tax, finalize that invoice, and there we go. We have an active invoice for $240, and it looks good. So let's go back to the calendar now and take a look at that, and I'll show you how the invoice dashboard works. So when we click on this appointment now, it's going to show us an unpaid invoice here. You're all familiar with this button. When I click here, however, now it takes you to the dashboard. This is one screen where you can kind of manage the entire invoice. Soon you're also going to be able to edit the invoice, but that's going to be coming later in the month. Right now, we can click here and we can say it's paid, unpaid. We can say it's a deposit required. This is a new feature right here that you're going to be able to use to keep track of invoices that need to pay you a deposit. Let's say you have a large invoice, you send it to your client and you tell them, please pay $500 by X date. You can mark it as deposit required because then it'll look like this. When you send it to them, it'll say deposit required here, and it'll also have a little stamp here that they'll know they have to pay a deposit. Make sure you put the deposit amount down in the invoice details, such as make sure to pay 50% by the end of the month, $125 or what have you. And so that's how that works there. And for last thing about the deposit required, go to the homepage here. You can also search by deposit required. And then you can look at all the invoices that you're waiting for deposits right now. You can say, okay, we're waiting for deposits for all these people. Once that deposit comes in, you could just click here. Here's the one we just looked at with Spooner. You could say, okay, she paid us $100 for the deposit. Let's add a $100 amount. It's going to be an invoice payment, but this is going to be a deposit. It was paid in cash. Save that. Now we have that $100 on file. The balance due is $140. Let's move it over to unpaid. And because now it's not a deposit required, it's partially paid. So now she's paid her deposit. Now it's just going to be an unpaid invoice. So let's close this out. And now we'll go back to here, which is the Spooner invoice. Let's take a look at it again. Now it says unpaid instead of deposit required. We have a $100 payment on file. We have a $140 balance due. Now let's imagine when the owner, Kelly, pays us $140. Let's say she sends us $140 via bank transfer or Venmo. Let's add that payment. Let's say she pays us $140 on the 23rd of April. We'll say this is boarding income. It was paid with Venmo. We can send her a receipt here and say, this is your payment of your May 8th invoice. Can't wait to see you and Spooner. And we send that, save the receipt, save that financial entry and send a receipt. There goes the receipt was just sent. So now Kelly has a receipt of the proof of payment. It was at 9:59 on April 9th. And now there we go. The invoice automatically goes to paid because we paid off the invoice. When an unpaid invoice has a full payment made against it, it automatically moves the invoice as well as any payments to it makes the invoice as well as any appointments all set to paid. And so now if we were to go back to the appointment, you'll see that it's been made paid. The invoice is now paid. We're good to go. We can go back here. If we want to delete a payment, let's say she actually gave us only 80 here. Let's edit that payment. And let's say she, instead of 100, she only gave us 80. We're going to update that. And now you can see the balance due instantly goes to red. It says we're missing $20 total on this invoice. And you can say, oh yeah, she gave us 80 on the 9th, but on the 23rd, she gave us 160. So that's going to be the extra 20 there. So we're going to edit this to 160. Let's do 160, update that, and we're back to a nice balance due. Now let's imagine she doesn't give us any payments, so it's unpaid. We're going to delete all these payments here. We have a $240 balance. If we go to look at the appointment here, unpaid, click on it. She sends us $240 via whatever payment method you're using. Let's say it's PayPal. So $240 comes in. We're going to say it's boarding income. It was paid with PayPal. We'll send her a receipt saying thanks for your $240 payment. Can't wait to see you. Save the financial record It's going to send the receipt once again to Kelly, and you're going to have the $240 payment saved in the system now, and the invoice was automatically moved to paid for you right away. And so if you want, you can move it to draft. Let's say this is an appointment that you're still kind of building out. It's in the future. You can move it to draft, and then you could start adding extra items to the invoice as you go. Let's say there's 3 days of boarding, then there's a bath, and there's a Kong toy. Once you're ready for the client to pay you, you could either do the deposit required and tell them, please send us $50 for this invoice. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to take care of your dog. That's something that some people will use. Most will go right to the unpaid and just say, your invoice of $240 is ready to go. Please pay us as soon as possible. And then once it's paid, mark the payment, save the payment. It goes to balance due 0, and the invoice has been marked as paid, and you're all set. And lastly, if you want, you can click here to send an email to your client. So you could say something like, let's go here and say, hi, Kelly, we still haven't received the 100 deposit for your invoice. Please pay via PayPal by tomorrow. Thanks, Patrick's dog boarding. Send that email to Kelly. Kelly just gets the email and she goes, oh, shoot, I forgot to pay them. She sends you $100 via PayPal, via Venmo, via Cash App, whatever you're using to collect payments. And now once that comes in, let's say it was an unpaid invoice. Once again, we delete that payment. She gave us $100 right now. So it is going to be an invoice payment, but it's only going to be a deposit. It was paid with Cash App. Save that record. There we go. Now we have 140 left. So you can kind of play around with it, but this just gives you one area where you can really work and manage your invoices. And once again, you will be able to add, remove, and customize these invoice lines, but that's going to be more probably around sometime in May. This is just to get started. The feature should be launching next week sometime, so hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, info@DoggieDashboard.com. Otherwise, have a great day.